The attacks in the northern part of the country have become one too many, making many residents flee for safety. In Kaduna, at least 15 persons have been sent to their early grave after suspected bandits attacked Giwa, Brinin-Gwari and Kajuru Local government areas of the state, while at least 60 people were kidnapped from a remote community in northwestern Zamfara state. This has also made many residents wonder if they would be able to vote in the next presidential election, as the fear to move about is constant. What can we do to ensure this trend ends once and for all? This is the crux of our discussion today. Joining me in the studio is still our guest who will review the paper with me, Darlington Umoru. Now, earlier this year, in an interview, the Attorney General of the Federation says one of the high points of this administration, or what they have achieved, so to speak, is that they have been able to tackle insecurity. But what we are seeing, the stories we are getting, in fact, in recent times, we saw some level of gains being made by the military in addressing this issue of insecurity. But then again, we're beginning to see it resurface. Are we going to perhaps see an end to this fight? Are we going to make gains? What really is happening from your point of view?
I think so far we're making gains, considering the fact that if you want to go historical, if you want to look at the way these attacks have been even before 2015, this year we had a lot of respite. We had a lot of bombardment, area bombardment of the bandits. The Tucanos were deployed, and then other fighter jets were also used, and then the mop-up was also done. This led to the large movement of the terrorists from Nigeria to neighboring countries, where one of the neighboring countries recently raised the alarm to say that their country was being infiltrated by terrorists. That was after Mr. President himself gave the marching order to the military.
Yes.
When he told them that he gave them a deadline, saying that by December, the results should be that all of this would have been expunged. But if we want to face the truth, my dear sister, it is not enough just speaking. If we want to tell ourselves the truth, terrorism has come to stay in the world today. You cannot completely expunge terrorism. You can only bring it to a minimal, to its barest level, because the network of terrorists is almost global, particularly from a certain part of the world where terrorism is being sponsored and then pushed to so many places. Yes, whether we're going to have
Respite.
What you called respite, like you rightly said in your intro, before now, a couple of months back, the news of the activities of terrorists and bandits, I don't even want to be separating them, terrorists and bandits. They've all been branded terrorists. Before now, we've had some measure of respite. Reports about killings, reports about kidnap, and all of that, when Irabo himself took over certain responsibility upon himself. You remember the case of a negotiation with the train Kidnap,
Yes.
And those of them who were involved, and the remaining persons who were still in with the kidnappers. After Irabo set up a committee that carried out its own job, those people were released. All of them were released at the same time. Up until now, nobody has been able to tell us precisely how it went. But I'm not interested in how it went. My interest is that those persons had returned to their families. And then there's peace and joy. And as we speak now, the government is thinking about, I think the government is really working on how to return the train movement from Abuja to Kaduna now. But that's not the basic issue. Now they are resurfacing. That is the way it is. If you say they are resurfacing, it means that we have had respite at a point in time. But my challenge is, Kaduna is one of the states in the northwest. Kaduna has been in the eyes of insecurity for so long. I thought that with the achievement after the area bombardment and the mopping, the grand mopping of terrorists in Kaduna, I thought that there would have been a way of now checkmating the activities in Kaduna to ensuring that the bandits do not actually return. Whether the bandits or terrorists, sometimes these activities are carried out by all of these persons put together, maybe at different times. Kaduna has been particularly peculiar. Yes. In terms of killing, not just kidnapping now. Kidnapping, yes, in terms of killing, in terms of crisis, in terms of particularly Kaduna South, where you have the Christians, where they've had their own problem. At a point in time, we are aware about the issue between something that was similar to tribal issue between the Fulanis and the Hausas, between the cattle owners and the others. Over time, we've had all of these crises, and then coupled with the activities of the terrorists. El-Rufai had made all the talks, had called on the federal government to do this and do all of that. But there's supposed to be a synergy at this point in time. That synergy should have come between the state and the federal government, and then the security arrangement should have been more intense in Kaduna State, such that, I tell you, I was in Kaduna, and the fear in Kaduna, particularly around the suburbs, is so high. We've seen the activities of these terrorists hitting even military formations. Yes. They even had the guts to go into the Nigerian Defense Academy at a point in time, even took a senior military officer aside from killing another, even though, at the end of the day, the military were able to hit back and get back their personnel. But at this point in time, I think there should be concentration of the military and intel in Kaduna to monitor the activities of some of these terrorists who are regrouping. I see them regrouping and trying to go for a reprisal attack. From what they have suffered. They suffered a lot of blow the last time, and a lot of them were arrested. Many of them were killed in action. But even so, how are they regrouping gradually? Or, I don't understand it. The federal government, I think, considering 2023 around the corner, should do more. This should even go to Irabo.
Do we have the capacity to do more?
We have.
Do we have the personnel to do more?
We have the personnel, we have the capacity. But what we do not understand is what is actually the problem.
Why we are not deploying all of this, the capacity
what
and
is the problem? Personnel? For once when they were deployed, you need more of area bombardment. But the challenge about area bombardment is that sometimes these terrorists make kidnaps and then use these persons as human shields. Yeah. And then it becomes handicap. When you know that those they have kidnapped are with them, you cannot go there and bombard the entire area except you want to flush out both the kidnapper and the terrorists. So that becomes a challenge, and then that it will now be narrowed down to the activities of the military on ground, who are supposed to do the cleanup, the mop-up. Yeah. But otherwise, like the one that happened in Zamfara, I think somebody had said that it's more of trying to have more of these persons used as human shield.
So we are seeing different dimensions to the battle against insecurity.
Yes.
Using them as human shields. We are seeing also...
They are also intelligent.
Yes.
These kidnappers, they also have people who draw up programs for them. They are not just people who will just jump at anything. They draw up plans and then they have their own ideas. You know, you remember when the kids were kidnapped from Katsina and taken to Zamfara?
Yes.
I was here to advise the federal government on how to go about it so that there will not be any casualties. At the end of the day, precisely some of those things we discussed here was what the federal government adopted, and all the children were taken back alive. Otherwise, if you want to use force at such times, they'll put the children in front, and then the children will begin to receive bullets on their behalf. So it is delicate. It is a serious thing, you know. But that of Kaduna baffles me. Again, let us not deceive ourselves. The war may not be completely over in Kaduna immediately.
Why?
It may still take some time.
Why?
Because Kaduna has become like the hub, aside from Zamfara, has become the hub of these bandits. Because this crisis has been there even before bandits moved in. This
is the reason why the military and the federal government needs to liaise with the state government. But we are not. We are saying we are not seeing that.
No, we really cannot tell. But from results, from the result, the thing at a point in time got to its peak. Talking about kidnapping, the activities of the bandits in Kaduna got to its peak, where it almost became an everyday thing until almost recently when the military waded in. And then what we got was a slowdown. And then...
The government shouldn't have slowed down.
No, what we got was the slowdown on the activities of the bandits.
Okay.
Not the
when
government
it slowed
now.
down, what should the government have done?
The government may not have rested. They will not come out to tell you what they are doing. But again, don't forget that these people are fighting guerrilla warfare. They can assemble in one place and move from that place and then hit a point and run back. It's
but
not the
here, they
conventional
moved
war.
from one community to the other. From Giwa to Brinin-Gwari, they were moving like that. How is it that they move and nobody can stop them?
They moved in groups. They could have divided themselves in groups. It may not be the same group that went to one community that actually went to the other. It may not be so, but from report, that is what you will get. But do we have persons on ground? You see, technically, the way some of these things work, the way some of these terrorists arrange themselves, may not be exactly what you get when these things are reported. It may not be exactly so. If you have the same group who attacked a community, moving from that same community after attacking that community to another community. We have had situations where a particular group divided themselves and then simultaneously went to attack communities under the umbrella of one group. We have had situations like that. And so they also have their own ways of going about their own activities. But Kaduna State should have more of personnel at this point in time. But again, is the Nigerian army, the Nigerian military, not overstretched?
That was why I asked the capacity, the personnel,
they
to address this matter. Now we are admitting they are overstretched. So how do we get them, or who do we get to be there in Kaduna State to address this matter? The police? Can they address this?
The police is also involved. This war is not limited to the military.
But as it stands, can they handle this?
Who, the police alone?
Police.
No, the police is not a warfare you leave to the police alone. But the police, the security agencies, everybody has a role to play. And the roles are like what you call in the local violence division of labor.
So how come the military is overstretched if we have all these people working together?
The military is overstretched not because you don't have all these people together, because the role they play is different from the role the others play.
Absolutely.
Okay? And then, but what they do at the end of the day is what is called synergy. They meet at a point to synergize, and then they work. You know, I have come to understand that it is not everything we have to say on air because even the enemies are also listening.
Right.
And that is why the military cannot come on air to give you their strategies because the enemies are also listening. So I have defined what ambush means, severally at different fora. And then if you look at it, you will have to understand that, okay, today let's look at the military, the activities of the military. The military engages the bandits. They engage terrorists. They engage kidnappers. They are brought in when there's communal crisis. They are brought in to face armed robbers in certain situations. They are brought in almost all war activities in this country. Otherwise, what is the numerical strength of the Nigerian military today? And then this war is fought, aside from the north, the northwest, the northeast, and the north central. You talk about the headers farmers crisis. You bring in the military also. Okay? In all of this, the military will move from one point to another. They move from another point to another. People who are fighting guerrilla warfare, sometimes they also have undercover agents among this other side who feeds them with information on the movement of the military.
Right.
And so if they are aware about that the military will not be covering this area at a point in time, it becomes a soft target for them. And then by the time the military gets the information and then pursue, then they try to do a repel or conquer them. So it's not an easy job. It's not the way every Nigerian sits to do analysis of the situation. It's not as easy as that. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, my sister. And so we just have to encourage the Nigerian military. We just have to encourage the Nigerian security arrangement, the Nigerian security system, because we must help them boost their morale. We must, not just the common man now, not just the government, everybody. Security is the business of every man. How many of us are ready to speak when we see? When these people are coming to attack, some of us are even afraid to even make calls. These military men, they work on intel. Okay? And then this intel is supposed to have been provided by an arm, a set of people. Like I said, they work together.
Yes.
And then synergize at a point. And then this is how it works. But it's not enough for anybody to just sit down and conclude. Zamfara has been the hub of kidnapping. And the federal government has put in several measures in place in Zamfara to checkmate the activities of bandits and kidnappers.
But that's not delivering the desired result.
Well, the desired result, it depends on your definition of the desired result. The desired result, you're saying maybe it has not completely stopped it. It's to be difficult to completely stop it. In a twinkle of the eye, it will be a bit difficult. But what I thought that, well, I do not know how they work, but I thought that concentration should have been in certain areas, particularly where some of these things really thrive, these activities. The Zamfara thing, we have seen over time that sometimes even when people are kidnapped from some parts of the northwest, they are taken over to Zamfara. Why is it so? It means that there's something working for them. Federal government had declared at a point in time the block communication in Zamfara to checkmate the activities of this person. At a time, they blocked the movement of aircraft. They declared a no-fly zone on Zamfara, so that movement and all of that activity, because there were too many claims. At a point in time, it was the fact that some said that aircraft were being used to deliver arms and ammunition to the bandits. At another time, they said they were being used to deliver food to the bandits. Some persons were arrested, at a point in time, being fingered, as part of those who were involved in all of this. And then the gold mining activity, the illegal gold mining activity in Zamfara State, which has attracted a lot of illegalities, also in Zamfara State, has also helped to fuel some of these activities. And so it is not as if Some persons are not doing what they're supposed to do. But the challenge I have is that proliferation of small arms and light weapons is too large.
Right. Kaduna state government just, destroyed some last week.
That is what I think organizations and the federal government should be concentrating more on now. My dear sister, the reason why you will run when you see another man is when he shows you a rifle, his weapon. His weapon. Whether it is loaded or not, you will take off. But if he has to face you without a weapon, I don't think the amount of fear that will overcome you or overwhelm you when you are facing him will still remain the same. Right now, I think the military, the UN, ECOWAS, EU should do more about mopping up small arms from the society. There's too much proliferation, illicit firearms circulating everywhere. But now the elections are coming again. A lot of them will come out. What has happened to what the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons pursued rigorously, through EU, through ECOWAS, and through the UN, in terms of mopping and giving alternative livelihood to some of these persons who bear weapons? The economy, has it also helped matters?
Right, because the issue is recently the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics came up with the number of persons who are poor in the country, and it said over 100 million persons have plunged into poverty. I mean, that's another issue.
Poverty is a big issue. Many of these persons are not actually happy bearing these arms, but it becomes like an alternative source of income for them. You understand, I know you understood that Boko Haram recruits, the bandits recruits. Aside from those they conscript, they also recruit people. And so why would a young man be ready to bear arms, put his life
on the line?
Hunger could have also been a part of it. But the law does not permit any of these as excuses.
So we need to tackle the root.
We need to tackle it from the root. The basic problem is, let us look at poverty. Let us look at how to stop the infiltration of small arms and light weapons. Let us look at how to block our borders. The manufacturers, the blacksmiths, the local manufacturers, the blacksmiths that are manufacturing these small arms and light weapons and supplying. What have we done?
Do we know them? Do we have data?
They know some of them. Some of them have often been arrested. But my challenge is, when you arrest them, what do you do with them?
Right.
Do you convert them? Or do you just arrest, prosecute them, and push them back? These blacksmiths who make more of the illegal...
Which is better off?
And they have gone sophisticated.
Convict them or convert them?
If they commit a crime, you convict them. The law must take its course. But thereafter, what do you do with them? What do you do with them? Find a livelihood, alternative source.
I'm talking of the blacksmiths.
Yes, that's the people we are talking about now. Give them an alternative livelihood. Daikon is there. See, my dear sister, some of these blacksmiths have gone so sophisticated that if you gave them a factory manufactured weapon, they will give you a replica of that. Not a parody now, a replica of that. That when you look at them, the thing that could even just tell you that this one is a locally manufactured one is that it may not carry a serial number. That is the only difference. We have had situations like that. And so, all of this, the economic problem is there. The problem of the blacksmith is there. The problem of the porous border is there. Where you ask yourself, the non-state actors, how do they access their weapons so freely? Even sophisticated weapons. And then you also have to look at the leakages. When states are buying weapons, you also have a few bad eggs who will also take part in these leakages. Sometimes the amount of weapons, imported from the manufacturer in Europe may not be the exact numbers is supplied and getting to the end user at the end of the day. So how do you checkmate all of that? Do you know, as I speak with you now, that there's a total ban on importation of weapons by ECOWAS of states? And now, if any member state of ECOWAS must import weapons from abroad,
must get approval.
You must get approval.
Yet, we are still seeing weapons flowing into the country.
Not in the hands of the state actors now. We are seeing more weapons in the hands of the non-state actors. Because the amount of weapons in the hands of the non-state actors far more outweigh the ones you have in the hands of the state actors.
What would it take to mop it up?
It's a whole plan. It's a whole process. Access the non-state actors like Jonathan did, like this government has also done. You know, access those of them. You have made arrests. Use those arrests to access them. Create what Jonathan, the type of project. What happened to the Jonathan's project?
Are you asking me? I'm not part of government.
Oh my goodness. At a point in time, we heard when even some of them who were abroad studying cried out to say that they had been abandoned.
Yes.
We had all of that at a point in time.
The amnesty program.
Yes. Those of them who were sent to school.
Yes.
What you did is create amnesty again. And then bring alternative livelihood. Tell them, submit your weapons, and then you get this in return.
And that worked at the time.
It worked. That was when we were looking at what was going on at the Niger Delta.
Yeah.
But whether all of that will be able to work very well with the bandits and the terrorists is what we do not know. But why don't you try it? Do you remember that the Zamfara state governor tried it at the time?
Yes.
And then some of them submitted weapons, but they still went back. Some of the bandits still went back at the end of the day.
Right. We have to leave the conversation here now, but one quick question, yes or no. The president had promised to hand over a safe and secured country to the next administration. With this, would it happen?
Absolutely. I do not know what to say, whether to say yes or no. But sure, we have seen results from what has happened so far.
We must thank you so much, Darlington Umoru, member West African Action Network for Small Arms and former consultant, Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.